So as a coach to a number of top leaders, visionaries, entrepreneurs, and innovators, I get to see a lot of the repeated patterns of success. And you know what? It has very little to do with people's intellect, people's talents, or even people's upbringing and social status. None of these four things. So what does it have a lot to do with? It has a lot to do with people's decisions and people's peer group. And I'm going to focus on decisions. And one of the big decisions that I see where people who end up being a lot happier and having much richer and fuller lives versus ones who don't is how people make decisions. One of the things that really stops people in their tracks is indecisiveness, particularly when it comes to advancing their own happiness, well-being, health, or positive pattern forming. And they never get started. The sorts of people who stay stuck will have the opportunity to do something which moves them ahead, and then will go into some sort of paralysis. And that happens because they try to use their intellect to make decisions rather than just working out, how do I feel about this? And they say things like, well, I'll think about it, or let me compare it to some other programs. And it's like, no, don't compare the opportunity that's come in front of you with other programs. That's just an excuse your intellect makes to never make a decision at all. Trust your gut. Trust that if this opportunity now has come in front of you, then it's probably going to be good for you in some way. And what I'd encourage you to do is ask yourself just 4 questions, 4 really powerful questions. These are not invented by me. Those were invented by Tim Ferriss, these particular questions. But I use them and repurpose them relentlessly because they work. The question number 1 is, what will be the best that can possibly happen through me making this decision? That's the first question you ask yourself. And the second is, what's the probability of this best outcome occurring? And if you don't know, then trust your gut feel. Second question is, what's the worst that can happen? Third question. And fourth question, you can probably guess, what's the probability of this occurring? So for example, I teach a program called the Happiness Program. Now, why is it a good idea to do a program called the Happiness Program? Well, because one of the top 5 regrets of the dying is I didn't allow myself to live a happier life. And this program unlocks the science of happiness. You know, it's crazy, isn't it, that many people spend a long time chasing things that they believe, falsely for the most part, will make them happy without even investigating what actually causes happiness. And this is a program that not only shows you what causes happiness, but gives you the tools to step into that. So when people hear about it, they think, oh, that sounds good. Well, let me think about it. Again, you made the first mistake. You're trying to make a decision through intellect that should be made through your gut feel. If it resonates with you, if you trust the person who's communicating to you that they don't have any ulterior motive, that they genuinely care about your happiness, that maybe, just possibly, they have done the course themselves and maybe it's made them more happy, and maybe as a result, they want to spread that joy to other people. Is that such a radically unusual thing to believe that a human being might want to do? Don't all human beings at their heart realize that the greatest joy comes from serving others? And maybe this person is just deriving that joy through serving some other people. A crazy thing to believe, right? So look, make decisions from your gut. Make decisions from your intuition, less from your intellect. You can use your intellect later, after you've done a course or program, to work out how best to incorporate it into your life. That's fine. To do the before and after analysis, that's fine. But really, ask yourself, if it's a program which other people have enjoyed doing, which has good reviews, which the person who's teaching the program themselves has done and has benefited from, then what's the worst that can happen? That you're one of those rare outliers who doesn't get value, who pays some money and doesn't get a return. That's the worst that can happen? It's not that devastating, is it? And you lose a little bit of time, of course. And what's the likelihood of that occurring? Well, if this course has existed for a number of years, then chances are that it's getting that sort of outcome less often than the positive outcome, and probably less by a factor of 10. Otherwise, the course wouldn't exist anymore. It wouldn't have its spreadability anymore. Sure, you can kid a few people with some clever marketing for a time, but not only over a period of 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So the worst is not that likely. It's not that bad. But what's the best? Well, the best is you pick up a tool which makes you happier in your life and more successful and more energized, and make better decisions in the future. But be more focused, have better communication, and feel a calmer state of mind. What's that worth, and what's the probability of that occurring? Well, look at some of the other people who have done it and then make a decision. So the first principle of behavior change is decide with your gut, not through your intellect. And the second supporting principle is use the 4 questions to do a quick check-in with whether this decision makes sense to you or not. That way, you'll be using, if you have to use logic, you'll be using logic in the right way rather than using what you'll use instead, which is fear dressed up as logic. I trust this has been useful, and I wish you well with the next decision that you make. Now, decide to use this principle. That'll be a powerful decision you can make right now.